What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another About Teams video. And, well, as you can see by Nick's reaction, today is the NHL recap. And first game, Pastrnak jersey was on. Bruins 5-1 dub. Today won't be the same as Florida basically responds with a beatdown of their own to even the series 1-1, heading back to Boston. If I'm Boston, got to look at the overview. Took one in Florida, head back home. I know, Nick, you probably watched more of this game from what I did.
But it wasn't the whole thing, trust me.
Yeah, but I still watched a decent amount of this, and here's what I'll say. I thought Florida was going to come out the more desperate team, but Boston actually for the first 5 to 10 minutes had the more pressure, and eventually that led to a Charlie Coyle goal. And then after that, it seems like the Bruins went to Cancun because after that, they kind of just took a break. And Florida fought with desperate urgency, and they were just the better team the rest of the way after that goal, and it wasn't even close. I think midway through the third period, the Bruins had 12 shots on goal or something like that. It was something crazy.
I had 6, and 3 for the periods. It was not a good shoot.
So they ended with 15 shots. It was not great. I would say if Florida just really showed why they're such a good playoff team right there, because they took Boston by the throat after that 1-0 lead and just started beating them down. The big momentum swings were at the end of the second period, beginning of the third, 2 goals within I mean, the second period, it was only 2-1, so Boston could have only been down 1. Obviously, they got that. I think it was Matthew Tkachuk tip-in shot, make it 3-1. And then quickly into the third, put one again in 4-1 Panthers. It was over from there. If I'm Boston, maybe this is where, even though it wasn't his fault necessarily, maybe this is the game you look to go to a goalie change to switch things up, because, I mean, that was just ugly. And it's not even that Jeremy Swayman play bad, but it'd be a message to the defense like, shit, we got to play better for him, and we got to play better for the person behind the net, because, hockey sends those different messages in playoffs. That's why it's kind of so special and how it varies game to game, as we saw. But who knows? If I'm Boston, it's still a win. You took one, but Florida obviously showed why I guess they're the higher seed and why they were favored in the series, because they can just beat you down like that. And, that line, man, just like those players of Alexander Barkov, Matthew Tkachuk, they're so fun to watch, in my opinion. And I think the speed of the Panthers and just urgency showed, because they were constantly getting 30-second zone times plus the Bruin zone, even not on the power play. So, yeah, I mean, I still think Boston, I would take this 1-1 knowing. But what are your thoughts as a Bruins fan and an avid watcher?
I think the script was literally scoring-wise reversed. The game one, Tkachuk opens up first goal of the series right away, and then the Bruins pound on five unanswered goals. Same thing last night, but in reverse. Charlie Coyle, they score a beautiful tic-tac goal.
Yeah, that pass from Marchand.
Yep. And the zone keep-in from Zacha was beautiful too. The Panthers had a bad turnover, but puck was about to trickle over the blue line, kept it in with one hand. Nice little tic-tac-toe for a goal. And they had another chance. They had a 2-on-1 where there was Bobrovsky had kind of a bad rebound save, and I'm pretty sure it was Beecher just missed the net. He shot it far left side. And then, the big – you could feel the momentum swing. It was 2-1. Bruins were kind of clinging on, just hoping to get something. And then right at the end of the second period, a goal, and then right at the start of the third period, goal. And that's when you just flat. And the most positive takeaway I could take away from the game was Pastrnak getting into a fight with Tkachuk, just because it could kind of fire up the team. Hey, let's go. Let's figure this shit out. A guy like Pastrnak, who literally never fights. I think that's the first time I've ever seen him actually drop the gloves and fight with somebody. It's kind of sends a message to the team, let's get our heads out of our asses. we did take one in Florida, but I still think the Panthers have all the momentum. That was much more of a beatdown than game one. Game one, like we
Yeah.
talked about, felt close, even though it wasn't as close on the scoreboard. But last night, it felt like the Bruins were just chasing the Panthers all over the ice, trying to keep up, and they just couldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it on Swayman. The first 2 goals that the Bruins gave up it was terrible defense. I mean, the tip-in goal.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of times the Bruins have at least 2 defenders in front of the goalie to just get that guy out of there, just shove him out of the way so he can't do that. And that guy just stood there by himself and it was a beautiful tip-in right over Swayman's shoulder. But the defense has to clean it up. That you're not going to win the series against a team like the Panthers if you play like that. Swayman can't play 1-on-5 hockey the whole night and win.
Yeah, no, some of those points, I mean, I agree with most of those points. The beauty about Matthew Tkachuk and why he's such a good playoff player is because he's a superstar. He got all the skill, but he's got the grit too. Like that's one thing, like he's always willing to drop the gloves. He's very scrappy, and like Florida has that superstar that can play playoff hockey. And I think that's why he rises to the occasion so much in these big games. But, I agree. Pastrnak saying that message, maybe it can get these guys fired up. And it's not necessarily going back to the goaltending. It's not even necessarily on Swayman because, most of those goals weren't on him. But sometimes sends a message to the defense like, shit, like we got our goalie replaced. Yep. We got to play some better defense. And those are the momentum things, the weird hockey mentality that can just get a team back on track. And, yeah, I was going to talk about it, but you pretty much recapped the whole thing. It's like game one didn't feel like a 5-1 game. Mm-hmm. Like Florida was constantly peppering shots. It was a good game that Boston the score looked inflated like it was. This game, after the first period, if we're being generous, or basically after the first 10 minutes of the game, it was a Florida beatdown. Like Boston had nothing going for them. It was just a Panthers domination. Like it was a complete win. But if I'm Boston, you still got to look into the bright side. Like we can beat this team. And we're going home. It's 1-1. But, yeah, Florida probably has most momentum. But, once we get that Boston crowd, hopefully things can turn the series back on track for them. But at the end of the day, it's only 1-1, no matter how bad a loss is. And Boston's had their number in the regular season. So it's –
You got to answer at home. And I think game 3 is much more of a must win. Like, you got to answer those punches. Like, They beat your ass. And I mean, after the last goal, not sure if you saw videos online or if you saw it in the game, like the last goal was kind of like a little tip-in goal where there's a scrum around the net, and pretty sure it was Brandon Montour who scored it, just kind of laughing in Marchand's face after he scored it. Like you can't just sit down and let them do that to you. Like that's almost embarrassing at that point. And that's where the fights start to kick in because with about 8 minutes left, I think there was like 70 plus penalty minutes and like 4 or 5 guys from each team got 10-minute game misconducts for just going at it with each other. Cause that's in the playoffs. That's kind of what you see in a blowout game is guys are just kind of fighting for their pride at that point, rather than trying to keep up on the scoreboard, kind of show they're not going to go away quietly. And I don't mind it. I like it. I like that they're showing fight and not just, going over in a corner crying, but you got to show up on the scoreboard. Like I don't care how many fights you win if you're down 6-1. It doesn't matter. They're winning the game.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how both teams come out in game 3 because I think there's 2 different sides people could look at this. Like we touched on both. Florida might have all the momentum and they just continue that, or Boston. Thankful it's 1-1. Go back home, get game 3. I'll be excited to watch it. The one thing I just think is the biggest difference in the series and why I picked Florida to win this was their speed map. It's just so they're so electric and can just kind of get these 2-on-1, 3-on-2 chances out of nowhere, just by simple speed. And so we'll see. Obviously, Boston's proven they can hang around with Florida this regular season and game 1, but it'll be interesting to see because I do think whoever wins game 3 will win this series. Especially if Florida wins this game, I think it's over.
Prediction. Bold prediction, but we'll see. I'm not gonna.
I think Florida's just I just think Florida's the better team. And I know playoff hockey, there's obviously more upsets as we've seen, but I just don't see Boston winning this series, even though it was only one game. I think they got to prove some things to me first when watching it to show me that they can keep up.
Okay.
But
I'm not going to speculate. I haven't speculated all playoff Bruins, so I'm
done
going
a good job with that. Done a good job.
Play one game at a time, man. One game at a time.
Yeah. But, and then we'll get in quickly to the second. Even though that game kind of sucked, there was a great late night game. Vancouver Canucks, Edmonton Oilers, and the biggest thing I've learned from the second round so far is 3-goal leads are not safe. Edmonton came out swinging early, and like I said, Edmonton's gonna be able to score, especially without Vancouver's starter. So it's gonna be, can you just keep them to around 3 or 4 goals? You're not gonna shut this Edmonton team down on offense. They're just too good. But Vancouver just got contributions from everyone. JT Miller, Elias Patterson. It was just great to see this. It was a team win, and they were able to handle adversity. You got punched in the mouth early, 4-1, but you came back, kind of just took the game. I think his name is Dakota Joshua, had one heck of a game for him. I believe he had a goal and game-winning assist. That ended up being the game winner to make it 5-4 Vancouver. Yeah. So this series is going to be back and forth. I think if anything, this answered both of ours. That's going to be a 7-game series, at the very least 6 games. But I don't know we'll see how the Stars do in their bounce back game. But when you blow a 3-goal lead, I don't know what the mentality is there. Are you morally defeated, or you're like, crap, we really got to lock in now? Yeah. It's interesting to see how these teams will.
You can't let it get to you. You gotta think of it. In my opinion, you got to think of it as we can get a 3-goal lead on this team, and if we get that 3-goal lead again, we're not going to blow it. But we kind of both talked about it, and it seems pretty true. It's going to be a very high-scoring series. I mean, the goalies didn't play fantastic, but that's also a testament to the defense and also a testament to how good both offenses are. So I think we're going to see a lot of games like this. Maybe a few. I know you said maybe there's going to be a game in there where it's 7-2 or 6-1 or something like that.
Yeah, Edmonton I think could do that because they only put up it's not Elias Patterson, it's Elias Lindholm. Vancouver fans, I mix those two up all the time. But what was it? Edmonton only had 18 shots on goal this game, and they still got 4 goals. So the goaltending is going to be an issue. But Vancouver, if they can just limit the shots, get as many block shots as you can, you got to be scrappy in the series. Obviously, with the goaltending, what's his name, Tim Denko or whatever, Denko not playing. So we'll see how Vancouver handles it. They did a good job so far. Edmonton's defense only allowed 24 shots, so it's kind of just both teams capitalized on the chances they did get. But yeah, like I said, wouldn't surprise me if game 2 Edmonton can win 6-1, or if Vancouver puts a beat down. It has that kind of series written all over it. It's just going to be adversity, and Vancouver handled adversity game 1. So shout out to them. Still got the Rock with Canucks. I know you're Oilers, so good at least for my prediction.
As demoralizing as blowing a 3-goal lead is, like you said, 18 shots on goal and 4 of them go in. I think you're kind of telling yourself, hey, if we put 25, 30 shots on this guy, we might have 6 or 7 goals.
Yeah.
It's tough to blow a 5-goal lead. But I think they'll go into the next game. They'll probably come out swinging, pissed off that they did blow that lead.
Yeah. I'll be curious how the Stars respond in their game. Obviously 2 different teams, but the mentality standpoint is there. So we'll see. It'll be very cool to see how these teams do respond. But that's playoff hockey, comebacks, some blowouts. Who knows? Maybe the Bruins win 5-0 their next game. That's the beauty of playoff hockey. You never know what you get.
If the Bruins come out and shut out the Panthers and beat them 4 or 5-0, I couldn't give you the slightest prediction on what's going to happen this series. I already am trying not to, but then I really could.
Yeah.
Hope it happens. I won't complain if it does happen.
Oh, yeah. No, Boston fans, I think, are wanting another parade, even though you've had plenty parades. Let the other teams get some.
No, we haven't had one in a while. We haven't had one since what, 2019? That's too long. We're fiending over here.
I'm hoping, yeah. Who knows? Maybe I'll fly out for the next Minnesota parade. But yeah, with that being said, both games were great. One game was great yesterday. But both interesting matchups. Series are still going to be good regardless. And then tonight, I believe we have Rangers Hurricanes, big game 3. Like I said, we both said in the series, the series doesn't really start until the home team loses. I think Carolina will bounce back tonight and win this one. But if New York wins this, the series is over.
You calling a prediction? You're predicting Carolina?
I'm predicting Carolina to win tonight. I think we'll see how games 3 and 4 play out. I think, like I said, when these two teams matched up 2 years ago, obviously a little bit different rosters, but a good amount could be the same. It was Carolina won the first 2 at home, Rangers next 2. Carolina won at home, Rangers won at home, and then the Rangers stole game 7. So I could see it being like that. Or if the Rangers, even if they get 1 out of 2, if they lose game 3 but win game 4, the series is over. But we'll see. And then we got obviously the Stars Avalanche game 2. Need my Stanley Cup prediction. My Stanley Cup pick team to bounce back. Let's get it, Dallas. Green for Dallas today. Just don't blow another 3-goal lead, please. But should be exciting hockey. Playoff hockey's been great to us so far. And we'll recap those tomorrow. But with that being said, thank you guys all for listening to our NHL recap, and we'll catch you in the next one.